Hey guys, we're going to jump right into this. I'm starting off with my face and I'm using MAC Mineralize Timecheck lotion as my primer. It's supposed to minimize pores and those little fine lines that we tend to get as we get older. Yay. Then I'm going in with the Make Sense by Senegence Anti-Aging Foundation. And this is the tester size tube, so that's why it looks like a little concealer. And then I'm going in adding the Make Sense foundation in tan because I felt like the anti-aging foundation was a little bit light, and the first foundation I went in was with cream beige. So mixing cream beige and tan together here using my Real Techniques Beauty Blender. You want to make sure that you get your any type of beauty blender or sponge that you're using wet before you use it. It just helps blend the foundation a little bit better, and it helps to where that sponge isn't going to soak up your foundation. I needed a little bit more coverage, and so here you see me adding a little bit more of that foundation, or a lot more. Girl needed coverage that day. So I will go back in. I'm wetting down my sponge with Max Fix Plus because I felt like it got a little bit dry. Next, I'm going in with MAC Pro Longwear concealer in the shade NW20. I love this concealer. It doesn't crease underneath my eyes. I use it on top of my lids as a primer for my shadow. It's really all around a great concealer, has really great coverage. You see me putting it down the center of my nose, in the middle of my forehead, on my chin. This just kind of helps brighten all of the areas of the face instead of just underneath the eyes, so we look like we have a little bit more dimension. It just makes it look more natural versus just putting your concealer right underneath your eyes. So I will take my Real Techniques sponge and just pat that out, blend it in. And now I'm going to go in with the RCMA translucent powder, and I am applying it with that same sponge. So I just pour some of that powder in the lid and then go in with that sponge and pat it in really well. I just feel like this really sets that concealer, and it absolutely goes nowhere. It's an awesome little trick that I've picked up. And then once I'm done setting all of that in place, I'm going in with the Morphe E1 powder brush here and just using that same powder to set the entire face. And now I have a little helper that is trying to help me. Next, I am going in with Max Give Me Sun with the Morphe E523 brush. And I love this brush for bronzer and contouring. It's great. And you see me here just applying it to my cheekbones and the top of my forehead, around my hairline. Just adding some dimension to the face where shadows normally would be. And I bring it a little bit down. I bring it down a little bit further on my forehead just because my forehead's kind of big. So if you have a smaller forehead, you will really just want to focus it right at the hairline and not bring it down too far. But for me, we need to make that look a little smaller. And then you see me here applying it to my jawline, which just kind of gives it a little bit more of a structured, chiseled jawline. So that's a good little trick. Adding a little bit more to the hollows of my cheeks. And then on to blush. I am using the Kat Von D blush in the shade Bellissima. and I'm applying it with a Morphe E4. Love this brush for blush. You know, just putting it on right at the apples of my cheeks and bringing it back just a little further. Just doing blush the way you do blush. Next, I'm going in with my, probably one of my favorite highlighters. It is the Becca highlighter in the color Champagne Pop. And I'm applying that with the Morphe M501 brush. Oh, look at that highlight. So pretty. And then I also take it down my nose, there on my forehead, a little bit on my chin, and on my Cupid's bow. Now starting with the eyes, I am using the Morphe Brushes 35O palette and picking up that shade you saw me pointing at. I'm using the Sigma E40 brush as my blending brush. And I'm concentrating most of the color right there in my crease. And then as the product is leaving my brush, I bring it up a little bit further toward the brow. But you want to make sure you concentrate most of that color right there in your crease and then blend it upwards. You don't want too much product to be on that brush when you're blending upwards, or you'll end up with too much color too high. We want it to be blown out, but we want it to have a gradient effect. We don't want any harsh lines. So I just keep going back and forth, back and forth. No rhyme or reason. It just gives a very blown out look. Next, you see me going in with a color that's a little bit warmer than the color I started with, a little bit darker, and I'm going in with the Sigma E25 blending brush. This is going to be a little bit more precise, so we're putting that right in that crease. And then again, underneath the lash line to kind of smoke out that lash line. And I didn't want to speed this clip up because I want you guys to see how long it takes. Next, I'm going in with a deeper shade right there in the very center of the palette using the same E25 and concentrating that more on the outer part of the eye in the crease. And on my lower lash line right there on the outer part. Same on the other eye. Just right there on the outer corner in the crease. On the lower lash line right there at the outer corner. And I'm just packing that color on until I get it how I like it. And I love these orangey colors. So great for fall. Next, I'm going in with a lighter shimmer shade that is in the palette. And I am using the Sigma E55 to pack that on my lid. And I'm packing it on the inner corner toward the center of the lid, but I'm leaving that outer part of my lid alone. And you don't want to take that up into your crease. You just want to focus that on the inner and center part of your lid. And you can pack as much on as you like until it looks the way you like. Next, I'm going to go in with the lightest matte shade that's in the palette to highlight my brow bone. I'm going in with a matte highlight because we did shimmer on the lid, so it just kind of helps balance it out. Typically, if I do an all matte look on my lid, I will use a shimmer brow bone highlight. And whenever I do a very shimmery, glittery color on the lid, I will kind of tone it down with a matte brow bone highlight. But there are no rules. You do whatever you want to do. You could totally go in with a shimmer shade on the brow bone and be just fine. Next, I'm going in with a much deeper shade because I wanted to deepen that outer V up just a tad. And you also see here I have done my brows off camera and a little bit of mascara. What a big difference brows make, huh? And I'm just packing that on in the outer corner until I get it how I want it. I really liked this much better with that darker shade in the outer corner of the eye. And then I'm going to go in with that first shade that I used on that E40 blending brush to just make sure there are no harsh lines blending out that darker color that we just put in the corner. And as I said before, most of the product is going right. I'm putting the brush where I want most of the product to go. And then as the product leaves my brush, I blend it up and toward the center of that crease. Just making sure there are no lines. We want everything to be blown out. Next, we are going onto the lips, and I am using Lip Sense in the shade Sheer Pink. And for my second layer, I decided to go in with apple cider. I wanted to lighten it up a bit. So my first layer was sheer pink, and then my second and third layer is apple cider. And you guys know the drill. Make sure your lips are clean and dry before applying this. And then we are topping it off with the Glossy Gloss. And here Maddox is going to demonstrate how it's kiss proof. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful and learned something today. Let me know if you would like to see more videos like this. Thanks, guys.